Hello, friends. I'm here to talk about Toronto real estate numbers, especially the numbers released by Toronto Real Estate Board yesterday. And a lot of people are talking about it. Media has these numbers flashed all over, and people are talking about how these numbers make sense or do not make sense in their own scenario. So I'm going to try to explain what the numbers mean, and sales are up or down, and prices are up and down and whatnot. So here's a few things that I want to share. First one is the break that you probably noticed in media and also on social media by a lot of my realtors friends. In fact, I also shared something similar. So if you look at these numbers compared to last year, this is the total sales activity compared to last year when we did 9,950, close to 10,000 sales in May. We only did about 4,600 sales this year, which is a 53% drop from last year, which was expected, with all the restrictions in place, and showings were difficult and there weren't enough listings, which I'm going to come to in the next few slides later. But coming to the second part, which is the average sales price, in fact, it went up 3%. A lot of people were surprised. How did that happen? When sales are down dramatically, how did the prices manage to stay consistent? In fact, went up 3%. So I'm going to come to that. And before that, we've broken it down to different categories on which category did what. So detached homes, in fact, went down by about 1%. Semi-detached went up by about 5%. Townhomes went up by about 3%. And condominiums, a big surprise, actually went up 6%. Last month was tough for April, I'm talking about. April was tough for condominiums. They came back big time. So that's a big number, 6% for condominiums. Now, going more into details on what has happened. Now, this slide you've probably seen differently. Compared to last year, close to 10,000 sales, we did 4,600, so 53% down. No brainer, straight numbers, we did less sales. But here's a real number, seasonally adjusted. If we compare May this year's sale to April this year's sale, we actually went up 53%. That's a huge jump from April. And we know April, everything was shut down, and there were no showings happening, and it was hard to get onto the properties. We were doing virtual tours and whatnot. But May obviously opened up quite a few more doors, and that's the reason the sales went up, and in fact went up 53%, which is staggering. Now, if we look at average selling price, we've shown something similar before, 3% up compared to last year, but this is real interesting. Seasonally adjusted, compared to April, May, price increased 4.6%. That is huge, actually, huge compared to previous month, 4.6%. So that's a big number. That tells you again that there are factors driving the market, and which will be shown in fact, this slide. So if we compare the number of listings compared to last year in May, we actually listed about 19,000 and change in listings, and compared this year, it's only about 9,000, so which is 53% down in number of listings, houses offered for sale. So that clearly coincides with the number of sales also. Now, when our number of sales are down 53%, and our listings are also down 53%, guess what's going to happen? Your demand obviously went down, but your supply went down dramatically also. That is what caused the prices to remain flat. In fact, not flat, it actually went up 3%. So that tells you what has actually happened. Now, sales to new listing, it remained consistent with last year. In fact, there was no COVID last year, but in spite of that, 51% of the listings were sold in the same month, and it remained the same this year too. So COVID didn't have any impact at all on sales to new listings ratio. Now, here's the forecast that we originally forecasted, start of 2020. We were anticipating 90,000 sales and $870,000 in average price, which was 3% up in sales and 6% up in average price. This was what we were predicting, but because of COVID and changed scenarios and circumstances, we now anticipate 80,000 and 840,000 in average price, which means 9% drop in sales compared to last year, and a 3% increase in average sales price, which again will be due to the fact that lower number of listings will be offered in the marketplace. Obviously, a lot of them will have to do with changed financial circumstances and more regulations and people being scared, having strangers in their home. They want to wait it up. They want to see how the market is and whatnot. So what I want to say is, for sellers and buyers, okay, buyers, you're going to have tough time. You have had tough time throughout this year. 2020 is not very kind to buyers. It's been a seller's market throughout, and it's going to remain so for at least next 3 months. So if you need to purchase something, you get into the market right now before CMHC comes up with some strange rules and whatnot, and government puts in more stipulations and whatnot. Get into the market before the prices also, which are continually increasing. You've seen April to May, big jump, and this is what we're seeing in June also. It continues the trend. So you want to get into the market quickly as possible. Sellers, you are going to have a good ride for the next 3 to 4 months at least. Now, if you're a buyer or seller and you're thinking of moving, no reason to stop as long as your economic circumstances warrant it. You go ahead and do what you need to do. Now, come fall, things may change a bit, and that'll depend on a few other factors. What could change? Number one, there are hundreds of thousands of deferred mortgages that are going to come due in fall. Now, if the economy does not improve, which is on the path of improving, by the way, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. But if it does not improve, it could be because of maybe a second wave of COVID. Maybe COVID never went away. There's no vaccine. Maybe government comes up with new policies. Maybe, media flares up something, or some changed political circumstances and whatnot. That could impact the fall market. And the market could turn from a seller's market into a balanced market. I don't think buyer's market is going to come this year. Maybe, if it continues, maybe in subsequent years, but I don't anticipate this year. Now, if you are a buyer or a seller, I think I reiterate my position that you should continue doing what you have been doing. Looking at your individual circumstances, looking at your individual needs. If you're an investor, you look at whether you can afford something and what kind of returns it could give. So find a good advisor who can guide you in the proper direction so that you can fulfill your whatever goals you're setting yourself to. We had some other forecasts also, original, which we need to revise, I guess. New construction, we were anticipating 40,000 units this year. I think it's going to remain at 40,000. Construction is in very high speed everywhere now. New immigrants, 130,000 were expected this year. We don't know the number. I don't know when it's going to even open. But here's the good news. Even if it doesn't open this year, we anticipate to cover up, the government will top it up with more immigration next year and subsequent years. So even if there's a little blip in the market in real estate, the immigration, the huge influx of immigration should take care of all that. Considering, most of the immigrants are coming these days more affluent with, families educated and whatnot, and they contribute significantly to the economy. So those are all good news. Now, if you need more information, more details on real estate investing or buying or selling, whether it's resale or in pre-construction, you get in touch with me. I'm a real estate broker with Century 21 Innovative. You can have look at my testimonials on Facebook or on realsatisfied.ca. And my number is 416-931-4000, or visit my website, bobbygakar.com. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Thank you for watching. If you've seen all of this, congratulations to you. And I really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much.